And we're live, guys. We can't undo this. We're here.
Oh
my god! Oh my! We made it, folks.
I was unprepared for this. My goodness.
Well, it's not like we've been here for 15 minutes shooting the shit.
Oh wait, I'm gonna mute.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I on mute? Can you hear me? Is my microphone working?
Tell us if you can hear us, chat, please.
Christy is here, everybody.
She's down there below us.
Yes, you're not seeing my avatar.
Look
this
at
time.
that face.
Hi, everybody.
Wearing our Hamilton shirts.
Okay. All right. You actually can see mine.
Up.
Yeah. Rise up.
Silhouettes. Hey.
I'm lame. I don't own Hamilton merch, so I'm that guy.
Golly.
So how are we doing today, my wonderful friends?
Doing good. Doing good.
Doing good. Feeling excited. Feeling hyped up. Talking about Hamilton, baby. Yeah. Eventually. Did Jess freeze?
Hello, Jess. You there?
It looks like he froze.
He did freeze. Oh, God. Okay. There you are. You're back. Hello.
I was like, he's looking off in the distance for quite a while.
Yeah, I think he's frozen up again.
You can't keep doing this, Jess.
Yeah.
All right. Should we just talk without him and wait till he comes back in?
Let's just talk. Okay. So I think we're going to start with, what we, what our experiences with Hamilton was before, the film dropped this weekend. So I don't know if there's any.
You want to start or should I?
I guess I'll start. Obviously first I, heard of it through.
You start.
Yeah. First experience was I was probably, just scrolling through Tumblr, and then all of a sudden, I saw this.
He's back.
I'm back for the moment.
Yeah. So, it's like probably around 2015 or so. I'm scrolling through Tumblr, and then I just see this picture of LinManuel Miranda with long hair and in this, colonial jacket, and I'm like, okay, this looks interesting. And it was one of those things like, this sounds like so weird that I almost have to see it. And then, they dropped the cast recording on Spotify. And yeah. And so I was listening to this, and it went from like, okay, this is good. Okay, this is really good. Okay, this is probably the best thing I have heard in a long time, and it is amazing. So yeah, and we did get to see the tour in 2018 when it came through Denver. So
amazing. Okay, so my first experience was, I remember seeing that video of Lin-Manuel Miranda at that Poets thing.
Oh, the thing he did with the president at the White House. Yeah,
exactly. And he was like, I don't know, I've got this idea. I'm reading Ron Chernow's book, and I've got this idea about Hamilton. I don't know. I kind of just wrote the opening number, so here it is. And so he did it, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And then I started to hear the hype bubbling up, and and then a couple years ago, more than a couple years ago, I got really into it when it was on Broadway, and I got the soundtrack and I loved it. And I saw the tour. I think it was the same tour you saw. I still have my program. And I was just looking through it. I had a bunch of understudies at my show, and I remember they were still really good. But I do remember Joshua Henry was Burr.
Okay.
And, and he would go on to do that revival of Carousel and play Billy Bigelow.
Oh,
and be amazing in Billy Bigelow.
Oh God. So he was obviously amazing, and that cast was amazing. The gal who played Angelica, I know, was in the original Broadway cast in like the ensemble. And the other fun thing is my good friend is a Broadway photographer, and he took the silhouettes. So Matt Murphy, everybody. So he took all this stuff.
Yeah, we see
in the book.
All that stuff. He's back there on her stuff.
That's him. So it's pretty cool. And I'm just, I was in on the hype. I loved it so much. I got obsessed with it. Love listening to it. I know every word, all the words that I can know, I guess. I've taught stuff to students because kids obviously really love it. So that's my stuff.
Yeah.
Jess?
All right, so here's where I show my age as being the infant on this stream right now. So I was in AP US history in my 10th grade of high school, and they showed Lynn singing this. Yeah. The Alexander Hamilton clip.
You need to grab me one of those.
Get off my lawn, jeez.
Oh.
And I was like, wow, that's catchy. And I remember the teacher specifically is like, oh, Jesse, you'll know who this is. This is LinManuel Miranda. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And that was the first I heard about Hamilton. And then I just didn't hear about it for a few years. And then it was doing well at the Public Theater, and there was rumors about it switching over to Broadway early. And I was very anti that because I was super pro Fun Home. I was like, no, don't do that. You will just steal all the attention that Fun Home is getting, and that won't be fair. So I was like the edgy, I don't like this thing because I like this other thing. Like as the great comic fan I would be.
Yeah.
I hate the popular thing. And then the cast album drops, and I'm like listening to it on my way to my freshman year of college. I'm listening to it on my commutes because I commuted because I'm trash. And I loved it, of course, forced everyone in my life to enjoy it, and was pointing out all the stupid musical theater references. And I was like, nobody needs to know. That's definitely a reference to the last 5 years.
Last 5 years.
It's in the book. He even called up Jason Robert Brown to be like, hey, can I just use this? Because this is the best ending for this song.
Right. It's perfect. And I think even further than this, I don't remember when Sondheim's The Hat books were released, but there was...
I think it was a little bit before that.
Yeah. Mine are downstairs.
He references the Hamilton as the Hamilton mixtape that Lynn is working on. And he's like, it looks interesting. I don't know nothing about it. So that might have been the first time I looked it over. And I was like, oh, whatever that is.
I feel like it's really easy to have that response, though, to Lin-Manuel Miranda stuff, because he is so... when it's a project that it means something to him, it tends to be very good.
Yeah.
I remember I guess it had to be 2007, 2008 when Passing Strange and In the Heights were on Broadway at the same time. And I loved Passing Strange. I love Passing Strange. It's one of my favorite musicals. It's an amazing show. They did the people of color playing white people, less than a decade before Hamilton did.
Black cast.
It's an all black cast. Yeah. And many of them just play white characters. With no embellishments whatsoever. Yeah. Well, just their amazing acting.
It's like Strange Loop, which just won the Pulitzer this past year, and another amazing show that everybody should be watching. But it's just like this all black. It's like this main character and this ensemble. They're all black, and the ensemble is just everybody else in this main character's life.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm obsessed with the soundtrack right now. It's so good.
Breaks your heart.
It was kind of the same way about In the Heights at first. I was like, I don't know, whatever. And then I saw it on Broadway, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Even though In the Heights is not the best thing I've ever seen. But seeing it live is just this joyful experience. It's that thing where it's like the opposite of Hamilton. It's like Hamilton is like all information. In the Heights is just like slice of life characters, and you just let the music and the emotion wash over you. And I guess Hamilton has that going for it.
Right.
It fades. There's a lot of emotion, but then there's also, oh my God, it's so dense. There's so much information.
I remember it's it's got more lyrics per minute than any other show on Broadway.
Oh yeah. And it's like if every Sondheim Patter song was put back to back.
Exactly.
And then every rap song from the 90s was thrown in there. Then there you'd go. It's so much information. Yeah. So people are saying you never heard of Lin-Manuel. If you haven't seen In the Heights, well, hopefully we'll see it eveventually. The movie will come out. Yeah. But the soundtrack is so good. Just listen to the soundtrack.
Weird. It is weird. Okay, the local rep theater here for the end of their 2019-2020 season, they were going to do In the Heights. And then, the movie was announced, so they switched that to 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee because I guess they didn't want to have competition. And then everything shut down, so we don't get anything.
We get nothing. We get all the nothing. So we all like Hamilton, the show. We've all seen it live on stage. We all saw tours. I never saw it on Broadway.
No.
Yeah.
No, but, I mean, you know, I was in Broadway in New York a couple of years ago, and I tried the lottery, but couldn't get anything. So
I can't even imagine. And like the tour is just as amazing. It's, like I saw it at the Pantages in LA, which is an amazing space. And it's the exact same set. And a lot of the cast has been on Broadway and a lot of the cast was in Hamilton. Yeah. So it was just as visceral an experience. So how do we feel about the movie? How does it compare? I mean, I cried a lot. I loved it.
Yeah,
I had a wonderful experience.
You know, there's nothing that compares to live theater, but this is, you know, probably about as close as you can get with it still being, you know, an actual movie.
Yeah, and getting that added benefit of being able to, I guess, the magic of cinema, where you could get closer to the actors' faces than you would in a theater space.
Yeah, literally Jonathan Groff's spittle.
Seeing his
sometimes
spittle.
to the detriment of the performances.
Yeah, I mean, he had to be like really annoyed. Like, really, we had to film that moment. Okay.
I think it kind of works because, you know, he's got this like crazy psycho stare through the entire song. And, you know, King George did, you know, famously went loopy. Eventually, you can kind of see that starting already.
I think You'll Be Back and all of King George's songs are made better because of the close-up, because on stage he's basically just standing still.
Because he can't move. That's what I've heard, is that the crown is so big and the cape is so big. So the whole thing is minimalist. So it's a lot of him doing very sharp head turns, and it's all just...
I believe it. You know, I can also believe why he does. That's why he does that, you know, very smooth Beyonce walk on. It's like, okay, got to keep the crown on the head. Got to keep the crown on the head.
That's right. Yeah. He's walking down the catwalk.
Yeah.
But then during the Reynolds pamphlet, when he does all those wacky dances.
Oh yeah, you know. Yeah, he's like doing the goofy dances the whole, and you know, at the beginning of the Adams administration, where he's just grooving out in his chair, and Aaron Burr's like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?"
It's pretty great. It's pretty great. It is fun to see that, but it is also fun in the case of Leslie Odom Jr. Because Aaron Burr, by nature of the character and direction, has to be extremely stoic
very restrained
up until the room where it happens. And when he smiles, it's a very like hot, like it's not a natural smile. It's just, hello, wow, here the whole gang's here.
It's like, you know, hi, you know, the guy who wants to sell you something.
This is how humans behave. Yes, hello.
But yeah,
I remember watching a bootleg of it before I saw the show, and I was watching it with my husband, and he was watching it, and you know, bootlegs, you can only see so much, obviously.
Oh yeah.
So a lot is missed. But we were watching it, and he was like, "This guy won a Tony? I don't get it. He's just like really, I don't get it." Yeah. And then Room Where It Happens, and he went, "Oh, this is a choice." And then
he's, you know, even though it's not something you can see in the cheap seats, he's obviously doing a lot there that you can see in the movie. Like, you know, at the beginning when he says, "I'm the damn fool that shot him," and this, you know, devastating look on his face.
Oh yeah. And it's in his whole body language, which is again why you kind of lose it on a bootleg, is you see his rigidity. And that, you know, can read to the back of the theater.
Yeah, it's I think that's a necessary contrast because you know, one of the things that struck me is, you know, we've got, you know, Satisfied, which is this big intricate choreographed flashback going on, and you know, here's you know, Renee Elise Goldsberry spitting 50 words a minute.
I can't even believe her. Yeah, she's insane.
Yeah, and then you have Wait For It, which is this exercise in stillness.
Yeah.
And it's such a perfect contrast and such a perfect moment for the character that encapsulates him.
Ugh, I love that. I love being able, it must be really thrilling, like it was on stage, to see Satisfied staged, because when you listen to it and you hear the rewind stuff, you envision all this stuff, because it's so cinematic almost in the way that it's structured. And seeing it on stage and how much they do. I mean, that turntable and lighting.
Yeah, I mean, it's
wonders.
Yeah, it's incredible direction.
And the moving, the way the dancers move, and the way these tableaus they hit that are memorable from the scene before and are recreated.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it's like they go through like the past, you know, past 10 minutes in 3. So
yeah. And then just, Angelica just spitting out so much information. It's so much. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Can I be slightly critical? All of these wonderful performances.
Bring it.
Yeah, bring the critique.
Yeah.
All of these wonderful performances, these wonderful subtle performances, like theatrically subtle, are ruined by one performer that is not quite up into their acting caliber, and he's also the writer of the show, which is bad.
We got to be honest here. LinManuel Miranda, he's a good composer. He is, I think, at his best, he is on level with Sondheim as far as lyrics go. But his acting, singing is.
I appreciate that.
He's a good rapper.
I can appreciate the fact that he is one of the few Broadway performers who, if I listen to a soundtrack, I can instantly recognize his voice.
Okay, that's a fair point. Yeah,
but I can do that with Leslie Odom Jr. too.
I know. I'm not discounting what you're saying. I think he's limited, but I'm just saying it's something I appreciate that he has. A unique voice.
And he's not terrible. I think he does have some good moments. I absolutely loved what he's doing in Farmer Refuted, and he's just having the time of his life. Basically talking circles around this guy and showing him I can shut down your argument, and I'm not even trying.
Yeah, and I appreciate you're right. Like some of it reads like he's a good theater actor. That's the thing. Yeah. Like these emotions in the space.
I think a couple
as big.
Yeah, there's been kind of a minor meme going on of the moment in It's Quiet Uptown when Philippa Sue has just this very restrained grieving moment, and he's just
I know, but I kind of like that though. Yeah. There's something about him getting so emotional while she's so reserved. I don't know why it does it for me. I totally get why it's goofy. It's like the Dawson crying meme.
Let's face it, Hamilton is this guy who he doesn't
feeling the feels.
Hamilton doesn't play things close to the chest. He's always telling you what he's feeling at every moment, for whatever.
But it doesn't look like he's feeling. He's thinking. It looks like he's thinking about feeling, and I'm gonna try to force these tears out.
Him just actually crying because he is a very big crier.
He is very emotional. He's very invested. And Cameron Silverman in the chat is right. He gathers very talented people around him like crazy. This ensemble is freaking god tier. You've got Leslie Odom Jr. You've got Renee Elise Goldsberry, Daveed Diggs.
Chris Jackson and him are BFFs.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is in the Drunk History episode where he's talking to Chris Jackson and he's drunkenly going, as long as I got a job, you got a job. And I'm like, that's the kind of friendship I want in life.
And Okierete Onawadon, I think, he's kind of the unsung champion.
I'm obsessed with him.
Him and Jasmine Cephas Jones have the biggest Act 1, Act 2 contrast. Because in Act 1, he's Hercules Mulligan, he's
and then he's Mr.
And then he's James Madison,
Then you jump to him being the best Pierre, the very best Pierre in Great Comet.
Yeah.
He is just amazing. And I love Daveed Diggs. I love that. What I do appreciate about Lin is that he writes these songs with people in mind. And with him, he was like, I can't rap that fast, but I could find an Oakland rapper who can.
I can write something that somebody can.
Yeah, and he was, Daveed, he's so fun as Lafayette, but then when he shows up as Jefferson in the second act, he's just like, this is my act, goodbye.
Jefferson is fabulous. I think, Jefferson is one of those great love to hate or hate to love characters.
Oh, he's such a dick. But he's so fun with all of his bravado.
I'll tell diva. I take offense to that. No, I'm kidding. But
we love a diva. We love a diva.
Oh yes. But I think when people complain about Hamilton glorifying the founding fathers, I think the biggest argument against that is Jefferson, because you've got What I Miss, where he's talking about revolution and freedom, and he's got all these slaves waiting on him.
He literally says, "Be a lamb, Sally," or he's like, Sally.
He's talking to this girl that he's fathering children off of, against her will.
Yeah.
And and then he's coming at Hamilton, criticizing his ambition and dress sense while he's dressed like this 18th century pimp in purple velvet.
Yeah, it's well, this could segue us into like the discourse.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I think I'm hearing a lot of different discourse, and
it's American history, which is obvious, and it's the founding fathers, which is obviously a very tough subject right now. And a lot of people, I think, let's be honest, the way history is taught in America kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And we're getting I think a lot of that is the backlash of that is that we are not told the faults of all these people. We are not reckoning with how slavery have affected the first 100 years of the country's development and how it's still affecting us today. So yeah,
it's a valid point. Like if you can't get into the show because of that, like us arguing about it isn't gonna like change your mind.
I know that my son was back there. He's fine.
Who was back there?
My son, Eric.
Oh.
That's his room behind me. The door. He just poked his head out.
He's like, Mom's doing her thing.
Yeah.
Making the money.
No, but like, I think that there's a few points that are being missed. One is that a lot of this stuff is mentioned in the show.
It is,
it's not about that. The way Lynn chose to comment on the whole thing was to put people of color into the roles of the founding fathers, these mythic figures that we are taught about since birth.
I think that's part of it. And I think the other part of it is that he does portray the founding fathers as, very human. They aren't these, mythic, venerable, noble figures. I mean,
we have an affair in the second act.
Yeah, they're politicians. They are bickering. They're trading insults. They're doing backdoor deals. They are people that, we're dealing with right now.
Can I bring up Juliet's comment right here? Because I really want to talk about this.
Oh, please.
There was a cut cabinet battle scene about slavery, basically.
Yes, if you've got the Hamilton mixtape, it's on there.
Yes, and if that was in the show, it would have been a worse show because it feels very hand wavy. Like, we tried. Not everyone was evil. Like it felt very much like trying to address that as opposed to telling a story. On the other hand,
it does acknowledge that Washington was a slave owner, which I think is one of the things that the final cut does let slide. I think, if we're going to talk about anybody being glorified in the show, it is George Washington. Yes. And I think a lot of that does come down to the time it was written. Because, 2015, we had Barack Obama, he was, obviously he did some shitty stuff too, but he was, somebody who a lot of people looked up to. Obviously, LinManuel looked up to him, and he was somebody who you could see as this benevolent father figure, trying to lead the country as best as he can and do it with integrity.
I cry when I hear him reading Washington's words on that mixtape. Insta cry. I do.
Yeah,
it's emotion. It's the emotion.
Yeah, and Hamilton starts off talking, and then Washington takes over and literally makes this speech sing, and you see it on stage. They're kind of crossing each other, and they meet at the line, "I will soon be at the mansions of rest."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fascinating because I watched the documentary, that PBS documentary, and they talked to Chris Jackson about it, and he full on says Washington was an asshole and I have to play him and I have to make him this kind of benevolent figure. And I think that is a line that I think the show walks for a lot of reasons. I think the time is one thing. I think also, just like with shows to overuse a show I use a lot, Sunday in the Park with George. We're looking at a starting point, a historical starting point to tell a grander story, a grand universal story. So it's there's a lot of stuff that's made up in the show. There's there's a ton of stuff made up for narrative value. So my it's the point he was trying to make, and again, it's from the time period, was more about the immigrant struggle and how the founding fathers are people just like us, and how they were a bunch of 20-somethings who changed the world. And they were dicks, and some of them were fun and cool. I mean, there's so much in there, and I think it's really easy to hand wave it and just go, oh, they didn't talk about this, and it's like, well, I don't think it's as simple as that.
It's not.
But
another thing, I'm watching this, and when you're watching this in 2020, and you have, all these, people of color coming together, yelling, when are these colonies going to rise up? Mm-hmm. And then you have Samuel Seabury, who's like one of the few white guys in the ensemble, coming over and, shaking his finger at them and saying,
all lives matter.
Chaos and bloodshed are not a solution. And Hamilton's, chaos and bloodshed are already here, dude. That plays very, very strongly now, I think. That's what I got out of it watching it this time.
I've been one of my Facebook Twitter friends, Michael Shepard. He made a really interesting point. He's Black, and he made a Facebook post today, which was something along the lines of, I can't wait for all these people, these new woke songwriters to write all these new historical musicals that are just going to be completely woke. He's like, I just can't wait for it. And it's like, exactly. Like, There are again, I'm a white girl. We're all white. I can't speak for whether you're going to like this show as a person of color. I know plenty of people of color and Black people who love Hamilton. I know some who don't.
I've heard from a lot of people, who have a lot of issue with it because they just can't bear seeing a Black guy playing Thomas Jefferson. And
exactly,
that's okay too. So we're 3 white theater nerds. So take everything we're saying right here with that grain of salt.
We're not authorities.
I gotta say, my ire is more pointed at these kind of like angry white straight guys I've kind of seen over the past couple of days, kind of being like, it's me. You're not one of them. You're not one of them. No, it's all these guys who are being like, I don't get the hype. These guys are slave owners and jerks. I'm like, okay, well, this is a nuanced conversation. Like you guys, and also they were all watching 1776 on the 4th of July as their tradition. And I love 1776. I think it's a great show. But Thomas Jefferson is a freaking saint in it. Like you think Thomas Jefferson is treated fun in Hamilton? You should see him in 1776. He is like singing around with his Betty Buckley wife, and like he is just adorable and having a blast. And I mean, come on. So
can I talk briefly about the framing? Because LinManuel Miranda addressed this many years ago, not directly about Washington, but someone called him out on the portrayal of Mariah Reynolds, literally as just like this whore character, and like literally just there to be this seductive.
Which I think, is oversimplifying, the character and what's going on in that scene.
Yes, but literally, I think her exact words were, what does she do in the show except for being slutty ho-ho? And I hate that way that she described it, but this is what Lynn responded to. Literally, this is what she represents to Hamilton. Like, these characters are all Hamilton's view of them. He either idolizes them or sanitizes them and frames it however he is viewing.
The father figure, and and of course, Mariah's the tramp who came on to him, and
And what's kind of cool about being able to see the film version is seeing what Jasmine Cephas Jones is doing. Like, there's a determination in her face during the whole thing. Like, you can tell there's more to it than she's not just Jessica Rabbit. Like, she's like, I'm doing this because I have to survive. And I'm going to do this thing. And this guy is a weak ass motherfucker.
I don't know about any letter.
He's like, she's like, I'm sorry. Like she's playing the game. I don't know. Like I think it's fun. Also, again, I don't know. Like, these are side characters. The show is literally called Hamilton. It's his story. Like, I'm all about a musical, all about Mariah Reynolds, and I'm all about a musical talking about what assholes the founding fathers are. You can write that musical.
Yes, please do. I will talk about it.
Lynn already wrote his show. It's done. It's been done written.
He actually did have a tweet earlier today, where he said, I did the best I could fitting, 40 years of history into 2.5 hours. And there's stuff that I missed, and there's stuff I skimmed over, and all the discussion is valid. So.
Oh, speaking of all discussion is valid, let's talk about the end.
All right. We already had a little bit on Facebook here.
Let's talk about the gasp.
All right, let's talk about the gasp.
What do you think the gasp means?
I like the idea that, she's kind of breaking the fourth wall and seeing what this legacy is that she's managed to build for herself and her husband.
I like that too.
I think Tommy Kail was much more concrete about that when the original show was coming on. But now that other actresses that aren't Philippa Sue have come on, they've all come with their own interpretations. And
I love that.
All right, it's different now.
Yeah, but
it's all valid.
I personally like the idea because at the end, she says, when my time is done, have I done enough? And I think that's something we all struggle with is, have I done the best I can with this limited time that I have on this planet? And just this idea that she has this glimpse of eternity and can feel that closure that we all desperately want. I'm starting to cry, seriously.
Well, it's so crazy. I saw the understudy do it and she was amazing. I mean, she was just amazing. It's that, I don't know how to describe it. Like, you don't expect it. She's just brought down there, and then all of a sudden she does this gasp, and everyone in the house just goes, ugh, and it's going back to that emotion because it could mean something different for every person. And it probably does mean something different for every, actor who's playing the part. And that's the cool thing, again, that I miss about theater. And I hope they never really tell us. Like, I hope we can all just kind of have our own ideas.
I hope it's something that they leave open to interpretation for the actor and the audience.
Yeah. Like, the other theory that I heard was that it was the end of her life and it was like her last gasp. I don't know if I've heard other theories, though. Have you guys heard any others? Look at your fam.
I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah, my family's walking behind me.
Woo, the fan dam. It's all about that breath. And I guess we could talk about the gals.
I closed the door, but it would get freaking hot in this office. And
no, we don't want that. I didn't even turn off my fan. Don't you shut that door.
Philippa Sue is something, huh?
Oh my goodness.
My
she
Lord.
better than Amelie, I'll say that.
I mean,
Yeah, we all deserve better than Amelie. She's something. I guess see how restrained that character is in a lot of ways. Did something happen? Oh,
I think he kind of.
She's so restrained.
Yeah,
and then when she
go ahead.
Then when she
we're doing great.
We're doing great, you guys. I've lost. In Burn, I like that you start seeing that emotion kind of come out in Burn.
Yeah.
And I still don't know how they burn stuff on stage. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
it makes me really nervous.
Yeah. I think one of the subtler subtexts in this musical is, how hard it was for women at that time. Because, Angelica has this entire song about, that shows her that she is this absolute brilliant woman who literally has no other options other than, to marry well and go to Europe. You have Eliza, who is, having to hold all of this stuff inside, just so she can keep her family together. Mariah Reynolds is, under the thumb of her, asshole husband. And
made the Ron Sucker a cuckold.
Yeah. Who's basically pimping out his wife to Hamilton for blackmail. And,
So
even Burr, says, hi, ladies, tell your husbands to vote for me because you can't.
Right.
That's right. Oh my God. I love that. It's so great. I love the second act when they are doing, the song where Angelica and him are exchanging flirty letters. Take a break. Yes. And he's like, he actually is her. And he says like, I trust you're going to know this play without me having to name it. Cause we're in a theater and it's bad luck for me to say.
And then he goes on and like, Yeah,
they
30
think
seconds
I'm
on
Macbeth. Yeah. And then, but then I like when she comes back and quotes it to him as like a little wink. She does the little screw your courage to the sticking place. It's like, oh, that's some good flirting. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have slapped him though, because it's like she just crossed the Atlantic, which was like a month's journey in a boat, in this rickety ass boat, just to see you and your family, and you're like, no, I gotta work.
Exactly.
I love what Julia's saying down here. My dad is Team Angelica. He believes Hamilton wouldn't have the balls to cheat on her because she'd kill him.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing LinManuel made up. You know, they obviously, well, as far as any of us know, they didn't have an affair.
The comma and the comma conversation happened.
They did kind of flirt in their letters. You know, nobody knows, you know, you could anybody's guess how far it went. But honestly, Angelica Schuyler Church was married when Hamilton, you know, was courting Elizabeth Schuyler. So yeah, that whole thing about her, you know, getting the hots for him. Yeah, getting the hots for him and then deciding, you know, no, I've got to marry for my family. You know, I've got to let my sister have this guy because she's so stuck on him. That's entirely made up of whole cloth. And it's a great story. But
so good drama, though. I love it.
It's great drama. It's great drama.
That's what you want to see in a good pop musical. What else can we talk about with it? Let's see. Yep.
I really want to talk about the choreography because I don't think the filming of it really shows off how really amazing it is.
It is pretty amazing.
You do get some of it, but you know, there's some things where you really do want to see the full stage picture. Like Yorktown, I mean, that's something where you do want to see the whole thing going on if you can.
I love that one. And some of the editing to make it a little bit more dynamic to go along with the music. Yeah, sometimes you're like, is this movie? I can't see.
And then other times I'm like, we should go to a close up, and then it just doesn't. And I'm like, what?
Why are we not going to a close up? There's things like, okay, if I were editing this is where I'd switch the camera. Yes. This is not where the camera is switching.
And often it feels like I'm watching Phantom 2004 where it just edits off the beat. And I'm like, what's going on here? I think this is, as much as I love it and I appreciate that we have it, not one of the best pro shots ever released. And I think like,
what do you think is?
Let's get a comparison here.
I think Love Never Dies has the best pro shot ever released. I think that Kinky...
that's a waste of skill right there, though.
I think Kinky Boots has the best mixed one.
What about Passing Strange? Spike Lee did that one.
Passing Strange is really good. It's really, really good, but that would only work for that show is the kind of thing, like the specific.
That's true, because they have the cameras like in the band. Like,
right.
That weird thing all around.
She Loves Me was a really good pro shot. Thanks, Cameron.
She Loves Me is, once again, I think that's a lot like Passing Strange, where it works for that because that's a comedy and you want it to kind of look like a sitcom. Hamilton, I don't really want to look like a sitcom.
Well, like the OG pro shot, like Into the Woods and like Sunday in the Park with George and the Sweet Todd.
I think Passion is the best out of those older ones because that one was actually shot on film. Good. And like they
Passion
were on
looks
the
different.
Stage. It was amazing. That is the best of the pre-digital age.
I just remember Maren Maisie's back at the beginning. She's like in the bed and her back looks amazing. Anyway, rest in peace. I miss her. I got really bummery there. Someone said Cats 98.
Yes, that is very badly done. The Cats 98 is very, very bad.
Yeah. Someone said horribly edited. Yeah.
Yeah. Royal Albert Hall Phantom is good, but I mean, you know, that's again, it's good for what was specifically happening at the time, which was basically a staged concert, which is kind of a little different than the actual performance.
I think that Miss Saigon was done very well, but it makes a lot of choices. Falsettos was much like She Loves Me, shot very well for something like that looks like a comedy, but it chooses its close-up super perfectly. And I don't think Hamilton did that.
I'm getting my program out so I can actually refer to some of these songs. Okay, I thought, well, what did you guys think of 10 Dual Commandments, editing wise?
I thought it was okay. You know, again, that's another one that you do really want to see the full picture, but I think you see enough of it to get the sense of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the first duel was edited good. I think Phillips was edited very badly, and I think that Hamilton at the end was on and off good, but mostly good.
Yeah. Oh, someone said the last Rent performance, Rent Live, which that is pretty good. Renee Lee Goldsberry is in that.
Yeah, she is in that. She's Mimi.
She's so good.
Yeah, but I don't I think that that's a perfect pro shot for me because I love me my close-ups and all that. But for Rent, there's so much stuff happening on stage. You probably should have done something more like Hamilton or She Loves Me with that one.
Yeah.
Or it's a little bit more wide. And
but you know, even with the mixed-up shots, you still get a lot of the really good details.
Yes.
You know, I was seeing things that I either didn't see or I forgot from seeing it live. Like, for example, at the beginning of Your Obedient Servant, I'm watching the choreography and I'm like, it's basically a reprise of the room where it happens. They've got similar lighting. They're doing kind of some similar stuff in slow motion. And it's, you know, it's great because, you know, it's this ambition, you know, just crashing into the ground. And
I will say that this film version helped me appreciate Ariana DeBose and The Bullet a lot more. I didn't realize there was as much with The Bullet in the show, especially when she had it go over his head on Stay Alive.
Stay Alive, you know, it whistles past him.
Yeah, and that I hadn't caught the first time, or at least not as much as, you know, that. Yeah, I just really liked Leslie Odom Jr. a lot. I just really like him a lot. I just want him to be happy all the time.
A touch that I noticed.
Actor, voice like pure chocolate. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. It's so beautiful.
A touch that I noticed only in the pro shot that I didn't notice in any bootleg or seeing it live was during the Reynolds pamphlet, during the We Know scene. Mariah Reynolds is just standing out stage watching. Like just pressuring him, and he's like making eye contact with her.
And I didn't. What I saw, you know, when Hamilton's doing his, you know, last moments before dying, and he says, "I catch a glimpse of the other side." Washington is actually the person who like takes him and, you know, points him towards all these people who are on the back balcony, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's awesome."
And I noticed when they were doing the last duel. When he did Near the Same Spot My Son Died, they had Anthony Ramos coming by, and he tried to follow him. Oh God,
there is a lot of that. You know, you have like Mariah Reynolds and his mom coming in Hurricane, and
Hurricane was really cool. I also got to appreciate a little bit being able to see kind of close what they're all doing in their little tableaus all around him. That was cool.
Yeah, you get to really appreciate the work of Andy Blankenbuehler.
I was wondering, does anyone in the chat have questions? I just want to know.
Just questions.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. About anything, you know. It is a very good ensemble.
Thoughts or dreams.
What's your favorite color, guys? Chat, what's your favorite color?
Brown. No, it's not. The ensemble is in this show a lot. I mean, I guess that I appreciate that their bows are all just one line.
Yeah, you've got Eliza, you've got Hamilton, and then you got everybody.
And everyone. And that's, I love that because pretty much everyone is on that stage all the time. Yeah.
Most underrated performer. You know, again, I think it's got to be Oak.
Oak or Jasmine Cephas Jones.
Oh, yeah.
We'll put one in each gender conforming category.
Yeah, I'm with you, y'all. That's a perfect answer. Y'all stole my answer. Anthony Ramos, maybe, like he doesn't get a lot of love in this show.
Anthony Ramos. I mean, you know, Anthony Ramos playing 9 years old is more adorable than anything has the right to be.
I remember a tweet from another actor that's played that role, just saying the direction is to you're 9, but don't act 9.
But yeah, he's wonderful. I mean, I can't wait to see him as Usnavi. Was it Kennedy Center where he did it?
Yes,
on stage. But yeah, I really want to see that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think is the significance of those black ribbons the ensemble wears in Act 2? I'm not sure.
That the giants out there are going to step on all of us.
They're all wearing black ribbons? Well, during the whole act? Am I that dense? It's got to be for death, right? That's why you wear a black ribbon?
So. Yeah, I mean, if you wear
like an armband?
Yeah, black armbands, there was a lot of formalized mourning back then, obviously. So, yeah, I would say that's, people in mourning, possibly.
Yeah.
Where's Jonathan Groff in the bows? I am not sure.
No, they had to shoot his stuff separately, I think, because he was out of the show at the point when they shot. So they had to bring him in special.
That's entirely possible and very doable.
Yeah.
I don't. Did you interpret that as a suggestion of a three-way?
I don't.
I think he. Again, this is from Hamilton's perspective. He might be. I don't know. I think he just wants to hang with all three of them.
He just wants to hang three-way with two sisters.
He has an emotional crush, an affair with Angelica at the very least. I think they just want thoughts on how The Farmer Refuted was shot. I thought it was fine.
I thought it was fine. It's very simple staging. I mean, you've got Seabury up on his podium, and then you've got Alexander, running around, razzing on him. So,
yeah, that song has some underrated, really great lyrics in it.
That is like the point in the cast recording where I went from like, okay, this is good to, oh my God, this is fucking awesome. Because, he starts off with like this, Seabury's doing this little simple thing. And then Hamilton comes in and there's all this consonants and assonance. And he's, kind of meeting up with him, but at the same time going all over it on it. And
it has that it has that kind of choral element of like, there's a structure that he's given. Mm-hmm. He's not the rabble who scream revolution.
Yeah.
And then when he tries to read it again, Hamilton is saying,
he'd have you all unravel at the sound of screams, but the revolution is coming. Yeah,
exactly. So it fits together in this really tight way, which you can't really appreciate until you look at the lyrics, and then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yes, I do think Brian Darcy James could have transitioned well, but Something Rotten is also good for different reasons.
Yeah. Hey, and he still got to. Did he get to do it on Broadway? Did he ever pop back over to Hamilton?
I don't know that he did.
He did do a Ham for Ham with Andrew Rannells and Jonathan Groff doing the Schuyler Sisters, which was fun.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this means, but
there was a play.
Is he haunted?
No. There's a play called The Haunting of LinManuel Miranda, right? Which was written. I'm sorry, I do not know the name of the author, but it's basically kind of like this Christmas Carol riff where all these characters, all these ghosts.
I think I heard about that.
In Hamilton, come on and basically lambast him for glorifying racist founding fathers.
Got it.
Ishmael Reed wrote it.
Hey,
Reed. Thank you, Jess. And I think did Reed actually see the show? I think I read somewhere that he hadn't seen it.
It doesn't. It's the Wikipedia page is reading like he read it. He saw the show.
Okay.
No, there are so many. There's that. Out in LA, we had a Hamilton parody. Mm-hmm. I think it was Spamilton.
Wasn't that the Forbidden Broadway thing?
Yeah.
And then there was something out here like that. I remember reading about that play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm like, it's all fair game, if you want.
Yeah, it's fair game. And again, it's, people have, founding fathers are, things that people, subject that a lot of people have a lot of strong feelings on. So
yeah. Hey, I did Matt and Ben back in the day, and that seems like kind of a similar idea. Obviously dealing with like lighter subject matter, but he's a celebrity; he could take it.
Yeah, yeah,
it's art, baby.
Right.
Yeah.
If you could keep one F-bomb from the show for the pro shot, what would it be?
They picked the right one.
Southern motherfucking Democratic Republican. That's such a satisfying lyric.
Yeah, it is.
I like the one they kept because it rhymes, and I laugh every time he says "fuck."
Yeah, but he doesn't completely say "fuck." I mean, if I'm allowed one fuck, I want the full fuck.
I get it, but also I'd rather lose the other fucks, but keep that one piece in. I think they made the right call.
Yeah. I don't think it counts as a fuck, and they should have had a second fuck.
It would have. Yeah, I'm with you. But I think because it's referring in a sexual context, it counted as 2.
Okay.
Because the MPAA is garbage. All right, let's move on.
Let's move on. It's garbage. Which song made you cry? Oh, jeez. It's got to be It's Quiet Uptown.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, you've seen I've Got Kids, anything that's talking about child loss is going to make me bawl like a goddamn baby.
Yeah.
You made it that far. I was crying by Stay Alive reprise.
Okay, I probably was crying at that point too, but that's the one that, makes me break down every time. And, the single line, yeah, I love Jesse's shirt.
I love Jesse's shirt.
Yeah. Dear Theodosia is, very beautiful, bittersweet tears, but it's that line, forgiveness. Can you imagine? It's the thought of, being forgiven by people, by God, just being able to be accepted as you are. That's something, that I deal with a lot of, wondering if I'm going to be good enough. And, being just knowing that somebody can accept you is just amazing.
You see, I have that same thing, and I sob every time in the prologue to Les Mis. Like, the prologue to Les Mis, I'm already in tears.
Yeah.
I heard the quintet from West Side Story the other day, and I started insta crying on the last note because that happens to me every time. Sometimes there's just songs that do that. Yeah, I think Stay Alive reprise is probably the one.
Oh yeah,
I think it's where it starts.
Yeah.
Although I get kind of teary on One Last Time.
Yeah.
I just love Chris Jackson's voice. I love him as. I know he's not. To me, I know he's playing Washington in the show, but to me, he's just his own creation. He's this very kind of stoic, angry guy, almost the whole show. And then he softens in that scene. I love in the first act when he's like, "Call me son one more time," and they're having that fight. And then I love putting it next to that scene. And I don't know, there's something about the singing underneath of reading the words. It just, I don't know. Yeah. It does it for me. For whatever reason, and the gospel moment kind of at the end with him just pulling his brains out, it tends to get to me a little bit.
It's a fantastic moment.
What shows would you like to get a pro shot?
Ooh,
that's good. Well, I'd like to get shows back running first.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think Hadestown would be fantastic.
Hadestown would be amazing. I also think a movie version of Hadestown would be amazing if you got the right director.
I don't think that.
I'm kind of with Jess. It's kind of like in that Hamilton mode where you couldn't really do it unless you change a lot of the libretto or it's done in an extremely stylized fashion.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It would have to be animation or something like.
Yeah, I think that art cartoon could work.
Yeah, but I think it could happen.
A 6-part shot would be nice. I like that.
Yeah, it would be amazing because I saw that and the theatrical elements of it are phenomenal. And the turntable keeps sticking around in Broadway shows for a reason. It really works wonders. They have a turntable and they have a pit in the middle during Hadestown. But they do a thing where the set. I don't know if either of you guys saw it. They do a thing where the set
it
kind of grows and opens.
For me, where the set just kind of goes down. It's fantastic.
And we were up in the first balcony of the Mez, so you can really see all the lights. It was really cool. It made it look like you were down in hell. So I would love to do that.
I'm shocked Wicked doesn't have a pro shot already. Honestly, I think they're still gonna trying to do a feature film out of it.
They're still
it's gonna be bad.
That's never gonna ever happen.
And if it does, it'll be bad.
Yeah, I mean, it might be like Phantom where they do it 20 years later and it sucks, but it'll happen.
Yeah, and it'll be bad. There's no good Wicked movie in a post-Maleficent world. Sorry.
Yeah, that is so true.
A post-Oz the Great and Powerful world.
I only saw Wicked in San Francisco when I was in college in its pre-Broadway run, so it had some different songs, and the wizard wasn't Joel Grey yet. I think Fiero's song was called Raising the Roof, which it was 2003, I think.
Okay, that wouldn't have aged well.
Nope. So they changed it. Someone said, "What if Well, yeah, right.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Someone said, "What if they animated it like in the style of Prince of Egypt?" Wicked. I think
that would probably be the best possible way of doing it. I think you'd have a hard time marketing it because there's still.
But they could do it CGI style like Frozen and still use Idina Menzel though.
Or they could do like a Spider-Verse kind of thing, like make Oz look flippin' wacky, make it look like a book. Come on, do some crazy stuff, guys. Make Fiyero look like the book describes him, because it was such an amazing description in the book.
Like blue diamond tattoos.
Diamond tattoos.
Yeah, everywhere. That would be really cool. And they could even take inspiration from the original L. Frank Baum books, because those had a really distinctive illustration style. Mm-hmm. The new gender swap of company.
You see, that's just company again.
We've already.
There's been already a pro shot of company.
There's been like 3 of them.
3 of them, yeah.
And the original recording, which is amazing. Right. An amazing documentary.
It's like Sweeney Todd. We keep getting pro shots of it.
Yeah,
and it's never the cast you want it to be.
God.
They're never going to have Michael Cerverus up there. It's always going to be like Burn Turfel, who can't act his way out of a bag.
Oh my God, yeah. It's like, okay, I've got Emma Thompson here, she's doing good, and here's
Burn Turfel.
Yeah, who's, looks like a constipated meatloaf.
Yes to this. Yes to this.
Once on This Island. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. The revival, unfortunately, is closed, and I don't know if they're actually going to get a tour going, but that was a fantastic thing at Circle in the Square. I was very lucky to see that.
I'm gonna disagree hard on this one though.
We've already got Jesus Christ. That's another one where we've already got pro shots up the wazoo. We don't need
a movie.
Yeah,
and 2 movies.
And 2 movies. Oh God, and the live one with with John Legend.
Yeah.
I want this too.
Me too. They were about to do it.
I would absolutely watch a gender flip 1776.
I'm so ready. I would love to play any of those parts because they're just so fun. I would love that. I love 1776. It's a good musical. It's a good jumping off point that makes you want to learn about history.
Yeah,
just like other musicals.
I think that's one of the main things. There's a lot of basic stuff that you can learn about history from musicals. Like, okay, how many of us knew how many of the Federalist Papers Alexander Hamilton wrote before about 2015? Absolutely nobody. All right, New Glappy 2 wins. You win the chat.
Digital green technology.
So there's a lot of there's a lot of good basic stuff in musicals as a jumping off point for learning history, but it's not the same thing as history.
And that's why Hamilton was so great, I feel. And also why they didn't just send school kids to go see Hamilton. They would do talkbacks. They would actually talk about all of these issues in the shows.
Right.
And, they were documentaries. They were supposed to be a jumping off point for you to go home and try to learn stuff. I mean, I imagine The Six is kind of the same way.
Yeah,
Six you want to learn about those.
You could nitpick Six till the cows come home, but it's not entirely about the 6 wives of Henry VIII. It's about what being a woman meant back then and how it compares to being a woman now, and a lot of it is really sadly similar.
Art isn't easy.
Yeah.
Yes, this one I also agree with, because I don't know if it'll work as a movie.
I would love a pro shot of Parade.
What?
I don't know.
I think that's the only way to get a good version of Parade, because you can't adapt that to a movie. I think just get a decent pro shot, and then people can just watch it whenever they want.
I just can't watch Parade just because it just makes me so sad.
That's why I love a good feel bad thing, and I don't get that very often in musicals. So let me enjoy my really big feel bad musical.
Let you enjoy the depressing story about the Jewish guy who got lynched. Okay.
Yeah.
It's got some catchy tunes though.
Well, I'm not saying it's not I'm not saying it's not a great score, but
I think I might have told you guys the story, but I'll tell people on YouTube. So the only time I saw Parade was at the Mark Taper Forum in LA, and it's like a thrust stage. It's almost in the round, so wherever you're seated, you can see the rest of the audience.
Right.
So I remember this. I remember coming back for the second act, and Matthew Morrison is across in the aisle. And
that's awkward just to start with.
Oh, it's better. This was right before Glee. So I was like, oh, it's Matthew. he was
It's
in
the guy from
Hairspray.
Hairspray.
And yeah, and like the piazza, look at him go. And I saw him, and the second act starts with that song that like the servants are singing in the house, and it's one of the only like kind of groovy songs in Parade.
And it's
So,
depressing as fuck, though.
But it has like a beat to it. So Matthew Morrison is sitting there like this. He's like,
oh God, not to that song. No.
he's such an awkward dancer. Hope he doesn't make a career out of awkward dancing
or rapping or appropriating other cultures.
This him looking at me like, that's just a taste of what he would do.
I hate it. I needed another reason to hate Matthew Morrison. I'm doing a Glee rewatch podcast. I don't need
you're suffering from Glee right now, you poor man.
Dealing with Glee every week. I don't need another reason to not like that guy right now.
There's so many more problematic people from Glee.
What? No. Everyone there turned out perfectly and are doing great right now.
Great.
Oh yeah. Hey, I wonder what Leah Michelle's doing these days.
I mean, that's not the worst one of those you can pull out, but
she's fun. She was in a lot of Broadway musicals.
I wonder what Mark Saling's up to nowadays.
Anyways, what's your favorite song from Hamilton?
Somebody asked, where were we?
Mine is the Battle of Yorktown.
Yeah, someone asked, Christy and Emily, what part in 1776 would you want?
Yes, tell me.
John Adams or maybe Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin has a lot of good one-liners.
Yeah, I love Ben Franklin just because I love this. I love the smart, snarky dude, and I love the line about
Franklin. I'll be Adams. Jeff,
I just love the line about.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I love the line about
and love my friends.
Oh, you could be Abigail because we could exchange letters.
Yes, I'm in.
Yeah, you can be going on about the saltpeter.
Yeah,
and the pan and the saltpeter.
Never.
Jeff, we love you, but I disagree.
Okay. Jeff, he loves that song. I'm not kidding.
It's an adorable song. It is an absolute bop, and I love singing it.
He has a soft spot for like really good female pop songs. Like he loves like a good 90s Mariah Carey song. Yep. And it's like one of the things I love a lot about him because the rest of his stuff is like her metal, and then he'll be like, love it come. And so that's why I love when Helpless comes on. He's like, this is the best. So it's like so great. And I love the sisters in it. They're so cute. And like,
oh yeah,
when Jasmine has the letter and she does that like little dance.
Oh yeah.
And also, okay, wait, I saw that thing they did on like Jimmy Fallon where they did Helpless with the Roots.
Oh yeah, the little thing they did where they had all the instruments from homes. That was so fun.
I couldn't believe Pippa Sue's just sitting there like this, and she's just like, yay! Yeah. I'm like,
he's just like,
How?
And LinManuel posted that, and he's like, these people are singing this like they just came off stage instead of this being 4 years ago, and it's amazing. She sounds exactly like she doesn't. Well, not exactly, but it's still as crystal clear as when she was in the cast.
Hold on, I want to bring this up because I do intentionally want to bring. Nope, not that one. I'm sorry. The chat keeps moving and my computer is like, I want to talk about the Ben Franklin song.
Oh
yes, there was a cut.
There it is.
That I am deeply saddened that we did not get the Hamilton universe version of Ben Franklin. I mean, I understand why we didn't, but at the same time, what would have been? How awesome would that have been?
It's still my favorite song in Hamilton. That's not in Hamilton. So.
Or like there's that cut song that leads up to "Sit Down, John, You Fat Mother."
Yeah. The John Adams rap.
Yeah. I get why they cut them too, because when you think about, again, the other iconic founding fathers musical is 1776, and the protagonists of that, their story has been told in a musical already.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, they asked why was it cut. I'm pretty sure I would have to, reread the Chernow biography, but I'm pretty sure Franklin and Hamilton didn't interact much over the course of Hamilton's life.
It would be like a hat on a hat. It's a second King George, but I love the song.
Right.
Yeah,
so
that's
you have it
true.
on the next
it would be this fun. It would be this fun little bit part, but we've already got the fun little bit part.
Exactly. I get it, but I listen to it more than I listen to most songs on the actual cast recording of Hamilton.
It's art.
Congratulations is a fantastic cut song.
Yes.
We
have to kill your babies sometimes. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, it is the way. And, we've still got a fantastic scene where Angelica, basically rips Hamilton a new one for breaking her sister's heart.
Oh, I'm not here for you.
Yeah,
I love that.
And and that's, another Hamilton dick move right there. It's, my sister-in-law has come all the way across the sea after I cheated on my wife. Clearly she's here to comfort me.
She's like, you were supposed to cheat with me.
But yeah, congratulations. She just goes in a lot deeper and a lot harder, and it's fantastic.
Can I talk a little bit about how Congratulations worked in the original version of the show? Because there was no burn. It was just congratulations, and then we go into blow us all away.
Yeah.
We never found out what Eliza said. We just thought,
Yeah, I do think it is more important that we know how Eliza reacts to this than how Angelica reacts to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's you have to know who your leads are, and she's a supporting character, and it doesn't really matter what.
The thing is that in public, in reality, Eliza was very stand by your man when the whole thing broke.
Right.
But for especially playing 2015 and beyond, that doesn't play very well. So we kind of have to. He kind of extemporizes from, the fact that we don't have Eliza's personal records to kind of make it this, revenge anthem. Like, I'm not going to let anybody into my life any more than you've already, forced on me.
Mm-hmm. And she probably, because of the time period, we don't know what she personally thought of it. Publicly, she was like, well, I have to do this. So I'll do this. Who knows what her other options were, if any.
I think getting rid of personal correspondence was very frequent back then. I'm like Jane Austen, destroyed a lot of her letters too. So
yeah, why would they? They were just like, these are just letters,
Yeah.
I do want to bring this up. Yes, I would have loved to see James Monroe Englehart as
I would have
Jefferson,
loved that too, yeah.
But I also would have loved to have seen Wayne Brady as Aaron Burr because he took over that role in Chicago.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Or like Andrew Reynolds as King George. I feel like that would have been pretty
awesome.
Fun.
Yeah, I've heard Javier Muniz was pretty good Hamilton, so.
He was the alternate, right? And then he just took over.
He was the alternate, and then he took over when LinManuel left.
He's Lynn's guy. He's his number one alternate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna disagree with Haley here. What do you guys think?
I
think when you're talking about Burn, which isn't to his face, but at the same time is this explanation of how much and how deeply Eliza has been hurt, and how she's going to basically cut him out of her life emotionally, if not literally. I think that's, a pretty good takedown, even though, it's not direct.
Also the Reynolds pamphlet exists. They're literally dancing around him going, you're not going to be president. You fucked up. So I don't know. I think he kind of gets his comeuppance there. And the thing that we know that Eliza says, or at least that, we create for her, is she's like, you're not sleeping in my bed anymore. You're going to sleep in your office. We're not going to do this publicly. No one's going to get to know what I think about this. And I think that's an interesting take. I don't know. I feel like he gets called out.
But the thing about Hamilton specifically is he loves to hear his name. His name is so much that is like the first melody we're introduced to, Alexander Hamilton. Even the people that don't like him refer to them that way. In Burn, she never refers to him. Never gives him doesn't even give him the credit of saying his name. You are you and nothing else. So it hurts even more because it's like, you are not going to hear me say your name. You're not going to hear me give you any credit. And I think that is worse than saying, you are a stupid man who did a stupid thing.
It hits in a really it hits in a very emotional way, because sometimes that's almost worse. You want if you're fighting with your partner for whatever reason, sometimes you want that passion and energy, and if they don't give it to you, that can be almost worse. And I feel like you feel that, especially after this whole number where they're like, never gonna be president, crazy, and then still and quiet and introspective. I feel like it works well.
And again, and Hurricane, Alexander, thinks he can do anything with his writing. He says, he wrote the financial system into existence. He wrote love letters to Eliza and made her fall in love with him. This is one thing that his words cannot solve, and she's proving that by destroying them.
Yeah, it's really powerful. Okay. Oh, I like this question. If Hamilton hadn't been released,
that is a very good question.
Waitress.
It was what was it besides Waitress though?
Okay, I gotta look this up.
You got Bright Star, Allegiance should have been nominated, but wasn't nominated for nothing.
Bright Star I didn't like.
Would it have been nominated
like Bright Star.
Slot, though.
Its book is bad.
Everything
the score is
good. Star is bad.
The music is nice. I like the music.
It's the same song over and over.
Sun is gonna shine again. Yeah, I know. I didn't like it.
Best musical. There we are.
Yeah.
Okay, we got Hamilton, Bright Star, School of Rock, Shuffle Along, and Waitress.
Oh, Shuffle Along was done dirty by that whole season, though.
Yeah,
but nothing was gonna. That was going to be an uphill climb, I feel like, anyway. George C. Wolfe also never gets his due, I feel like. And they were they started closing it when Audra got pregnant. Like, it was bad, and it's a historical musical about the first musical written by Black people and being performed by an all Black cast. But you can't do that kind of old timey show anymore because they don't exist in our zeitgeist. They just don't, you can't do them anymore. So they made a story about a story, and it was supposed to be amazing, but then no one really connected with it. It was such a bummer.
Reminds me of the Scottsboro Boys when that came out.
Oh
yeah.
Which is that's unfortunately getting back to this whole thing that we've been talking about racism in the theater industry. We can't just see something like Hamilton, which does have good representation, but it's not enough, and it is still people of color telling a white person's story. We need more things like Strange Loop and Scottsboro Boys and Shuffle Along, where we're telling other people's stories too.
Yeah, and it's also important to remember that musical theater exists in, just like all art, exists in the time it was written.
Absolutely.
This is kind of what irks me about the rent discourse these days.
My bad.
Yeah. Well, no, it's fine to have opinions about this stuff, but knowing the time period it's in, and knowing that a show will not get to a Broadway stage unless it is some level of mainstream. It's just just a fact. You can write a really edgy show that tells all the stuff you want and it touches on all whatever you want, but it's not necessarily going to be seen by everyone or be a pop culture zeitgeist defining thing, because Broadway's a business, and that sucks, but it is. So that's Rent got where it was because it was palatable and it pushed things for its time. Hamilton, same deal. I know it feels like only 5-6 years ago, and for its time, we weren't hearing stories like this on stage with actors who look like the way they do playing these parts. It was crazy. So every little step just kind of pushes things forward, and got us a Strange Loop now, and hopefully more and more and more and more.
Yeah, and we are seeing more of reinventing of older musicals like they did with Oklahoma, and kind of revisiting that here in in Denver, not here because I'm in Colorado Springs, but in Denver. Year ago, they did Oklahoma with an all-Black cast because historically that was, a huge section of who the pioneers were at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And the revival on Broadway, plays with that as well. It has a lot of representation in it. So, and there are shows that we can bring back and find relevance in them, just like we do with Shakespeare. That's what you could do with Oklahoma and old musicals. Not all of them. We don't need to do Kiss Me Kate again, but Oklahoma has a book that has stayed. People keep doing shows like this for a reason and finding new nuances from it. So it'll be interesting to see how Hamilton evolves. It'll be interesting to see what happens when like high schools can do Hamilton. You know, it's going to be interesting.
And hopefully, I hope it'll open the door for, you know, not just more representation in classic shows, but also more representation from writers and, you know, designers and other people as well.
Yeah.
What classic musical would you like to see revised for the 21st century? Ooh, good question.
Ooh, that is a very hard question. That is not an easy one.
I mean, you know,
the last big, it would be interesting to see a 2020 take on Showboat, or more especially, they should wait for 2027 when the show turns 100
years. Yeah.
Because again, that's a show that you have to keep revising because there's language in it that we don't use anywhere. However, for its times, it was very envelope pushing. It was very progressive. Maybe not so much now, but it'll be interesting to see how like a modern director could deconstruct it and kind of, because those songs are timeless.
Carousel, if Billy Bigelow goes to hell, you know, I would like to see Carousel, you know, that seriously deals with the abuse side of the thing. You know, and not just say, oh, if you hit somebody, somebody hits you, but they love you, it doesn't hurt. No, we cannot leave it at that in the year of our Lord 2020, people.
Is there any way we could just take all the songs from Carousel and just revise the book from page 1?
Actually, in Denver, they did the Unsinkable Molly Brown. They took, I think, most of the songs. I think they took a couple other, you know, Meredith Willson trunk pieces, and they completely revised the book and completely changed it to be more in tune with Molly Brown's life.
It would be so much easier with shows like that are a little less known.
Yeah.
You know, no one really is like, oh yeah, Molly Brown. You know, I know the songs from that.
Yeah, we absolutely need a revival of Ragtime. You know. Yeah.
There was just a big one out here at the Pasadena Playhouse. That was a pretty big deal. That was amazing production. There was a Broadway revival of Ragtime, wasn't there? Like,
it didn't last very long, unfortunately. But I mean, swear to God, I mean, talk about relevance.
This year, oh my God,
you've got, you know, you've got Feminist Awakening. You've got immigration issues. It's
black people being killed by the cops, like
union organization, anti-capitalist stuff,
corrupt firemen breaking down people's cars.
Yeah,
Fire Chief Will Conklin. I love that show. That show makes me cry like Hamilton does.
Oh my goodness! And it is a fantastic score.
Oh, it's so beautiful. I love it. Well, what else can we talk about ham-wise?
We never even got through everyone's favorite songs.
Oh, I like Yorktown.
Yorktown is fantastic. Yeah. Oh, I'm not even sure I could pick one. God. I think it would have to be Wait For It, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
I just love, you know, that drop in the bridge. I am the one thing in life I can control. Yeah. Like, I find that very empowering. It's like, I can't fix the world. I can't do everything, but I can, you know, do this. I can be me right now. And that's what I can do.
See, I'm a real sucker for story songs. Someone in a Tree. So
I love Someone in a Tree.
Room Where It Happens and Say No to This are tied for my two favorite songs. I'm like,
Say No to This is so good, man.
That is like, you know, this fantastic, you know, slow jam that's also kind of creepy.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know why I'm into this, but this is I mean, it has to be sexy as hell. It's a song about an affair. You're kind of like, ooh, this is bad, but I like it.
Yeah, so those are the two best.
Yeah, most underrated Hamilton song. Farmer Refuted. End of story.
Oh yeah, Farmer Refuted. I have to think. Hold on, I mean, like, just to mix things up.
No, but that's like, you know, God tier lyricism right there. So
I feel like we don't talk about Washington on Your Side enough. And
I think and that's probably because it comes in between, you know, some fantastic pieces like The Room Where It Happens and one last time.
David's flow on the Washington isn't going to listen to discipline. This is the difference. This kid is out.
You know,
it's just so good.
Pretty sure Miranda specifically wrote that because, you know, he realized he had like super, you know, David Diggs with his super, you know, patter skills going on.
Flow. He's amazing.
Yeah. And it's
I
gotta use this more. I still want to see David Diggs as Harold Hill, by the way. I think that would be.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yes, just
get rid of it. We don't need Hugh. David Diggs. And
yes, give it to us, please.
Yes,
oh
like
my
can
God,
you imagine him just doing Trouble at 65 miles an hour? I would die.
Give him the velvet suit. Don't. I will no less.
The straw hat.
Oh yeah, complete. With like out a band uniform.
I don't think he would ever do it, though. Is the other thing.
Oh yeah. Still, that'd be good. Yeah, I just like. I think I'm a sucker for. I think it's why I like good like '90s hip hop too. That the low thumping bass songs. Yeah. Like, oh God, I just love that in Washington on Your Side. And like Lynn is around, you know. You're my age, Christy, and so he throws in. He does that in the Heights too. He just throws these references. If you don't know, now you know, Mr. President. Like the 10 Dual Commandments is a reference to a Biggie Smalls song.
Yeah,
like,
10 Track Commandments.
Yes, 10 Track Commandments. Thank you. Yes, the 10 Track Commandment. But well, see, I think that The Greatest Showman was Hugh Jackman's audition for Harold Hill because
I can buy that.
I saw that movie and I'm like, he's just doing Harold Hill. He's like, I'm a showman. Look at me. And I'm like, this is Harold Hill. Okay.
I think Hugh Jackman's overrated and oversaturated Broadway, and I hate it.
Oh, but have you seen him in that Oklahoma though when he was real young?
Oh yeah,
yes. I got that. He has a very weird vibrato even back then.
He's dreamy though, man.
Yeah,
he's pretty great. I love that Oklahoma.
Yeah,
where Lori's in her overalls.
So yeah.
I mean, how are you focusing on
Shuler Hensley as Judd? That is
yes. Oh my God.
I was about to say I was more the Judd guy in that one. Like I watch him and just Lonely Room destroys me every time.
Oh my goodness.
The floor creaks.
And Adol Annie is like pitch perfect in that version.
Someone said I saw Music Man, the guy who was Hans's singing voice. Oh, that's Hans from
Santino Fontana.
From Frozen?
Yeah.
Oh, he was also his talking voice, right?
Yeah, he also did the talking voice.
Santino Fontana was in
Tootsie.
Oh, he was Tootsie. He won the Tony for that.
Yeah.
He has very angry eyes. Sad, angry eyes.
He's got a pretty voice, though. Yeah, I mean, I Jess and I have talked about how we saw Mandy Patinkin in concert recently, but two different, obviously from different parts of the world. And he opens it with "You Got Trouble," and that was like, I was like, yes. And then he proceeded to sing the weirdest songs for an hour. But
it's amazing.
Mandy Patinkin doing "You Got Trouble" though was exactly like what you want from your Mandy Patinkin. Like it's so good.
But then he sings weird things like "This is your captain speaking," and it goes on for 10 minutes.
Faking. He's such a loon. I love his Twitter right now, like with his wife, with his son being like, do you know what this means? And you know what that means? And he just doesn't care.
Does he have a cameo? I think he has a cameo, but he like is super expensive. No, I mean like the Cameo app where you pay him $200 and he says happy birthday to your uncle.
Oh my God. Wait, I want that for me.
Joanna Gleason is only $70. So I was like, early birthday present.
Wow, they're all doing this. My friend just got got for her birthday. Like, Elijah Wood cameo.
Oh my God. Patrick Page just started. So I'm like, do you think I could get him to do a Freak Like Me Needs Company? Like,
I'd want like, hey, little songbird or something like
that. No.
Give me a song.
No, I just need him to do "I Missed Ya."
Oh yeah, that is pretty hot when he was like, "I missed."
Yeah. Okay, can we talk about Hadestown for just a second?
I love it so much.
I would love to talk about Hadestown.
There was a cut line from the Canada production of Hadestown that I wish they kept in, which is right after Orpheus turns and looks. She's like, Eurydice says, "You're early," and he says, "I missed you," and I'm like, "Ah, why did you cut that?"
Oh, missed.
I mean,
That would've-
that musical already goes so hard on the parallels between Orpheus and Eurydice and Hades and Persephone. That might have been a bit too on the nose, but at the same time, yeah,
it would have broken my heart into shreds.
Yeah, someone said Tootsie, yuck. Yeah, see, that's one that I could live without.
I could live without.
Yeah. And you know what? If you don't like a musical, like us gabbing about it isn't going to make you like it. I still can't really hang with Dear Evan Hansen, but
Same.
when it came out, a lot of my students were really into it, and like they liked it. So I'm like, hey, sometimes I just have to walk away and let the kids play while I sit on my porch.
Let people enjoy things.
I don't know if that's a good show for kids to watch, though. Like, things that even I don't enjoy, at least don't put out a dangerous message the way that Dear Evan Hansen does. If kids like Rent, great. I loved Rent as a kid, too. Go enjoy. Dear Evan Hansen has a very dangerous and
it's like
problematic,
an actively dangerous message as opposed
kind
to
of like 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah, that's why I'll always support High School Musical over Grease. Like, your kids should watch High School Musical, not Grease. They can watch Grease when they get older, but like that's not an accurate representation of high school. And neither is High School Musical, but at least the message is better. At least it has a message where it's like, be yourself, not change who you are for the guy.
The sequel has a very bad message, though, which is don't put effort in or else you'll be looking like you're trying too hard.
Oh, High School Musical or Grease 2?
No, that's High School Musical 2.
Yeah.
I haven't seen High School Musical 2, but I have seen Grease 2.
Which is much better than the first Grease, in my opinion. Grease 2 is so much better than the first one.
I love Grease 2. It's so bad. It's really bad, but it's a lot of fun. We're gonna sky tonight. And there's that song where he's like tricking the girl into like
thinking it's World War III, so she'll sleep with him.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
What is it? There's the bowling alley song about reproduction, right?
No,
Sport Tonight is the
bowling alley song. Reproduction is in the biology class.
Reproduction.
Yeah. Cringe when I see 8-year-olds sing Grease Lightning. Yeah.
Oh, it's so bad.
There's a lot of double entendres going on in that freaking song.
Oh, they say it's a pussy wagon. Like I've taught it. I had to teach it last summer I always like pick songs from it. Because those are okay to do with kids because they all know them anyway. And their parents are always so excited when they're going to do like summer nights. And all you have to do is change a few words and it's fine. Yeah. But like every time we do Grease Lightning, it's always like, it's a really cool wagon. Or like the girls will be screaming. That's it.
Not creaming their pants or whatever the horrible thing they say.
They're screaming for Grease Lightning.
Yeah. Those are single logic. Yeah. Okay, fair point.
Yeah.
Jeff, I do like the Canadian cast better, but I really, really liked TV Carpio as Eurydice in that Canadian cast because there was really like reparations for Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
Yeah,
like everyone was there.
Yeah, I like. Is it the same guy who was Curly in Oklahoma? Damon Downo. He did like the concert of it. Yes. And I like his voice. I'm sorry. I like his voice better than Reeve Cardy's. I like it. He's another voice it's an interesting voice. I like his cowboy vibrato. I like that a lot.
But I like Reeve Carney's voice because it is distinct as well. It's just, I don't think it's as good for that role.
Oh, yeah. He's just so whiny to me.
I like that it's whiny.
Like,
You've got a lot of really good distinct voices on that cast recording, though. I mean, you've got Amber Gray, yes. Patrick Page, Andre DeShields.
Oh, Andre DeShields. Like, come on. Yeah. He's from like another lifetime, though. Like, you just hear him and you're just like, ow. Like, oh, it's the best. I love his voice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice old school.
Good old school character musical theater voice.
Exactly.
Like you don't really get many of those anymore.
I studied his voice for so long because I was in a production of The Wiz as The Wiz, so I listened to his version of the song because that's just what everyone wants. One white kid singing a song by Andre DeShields.
He was in the Full Monty, right?
Yes.
Might have been.
I know that Patrick Wilson was.
Oh yeah. I saw it on Broadway. It was like one of the first Broadway shows I ever saw. And Patrick Wilson was in it. And I was just like, he's way better on stage than he is in movies.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, like, he's fine. Like, he's fine. He's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I got no beef with Patrick Wilson.
Put him in the next normal movie.
He'd be great. He'd be great.
Honestly, would totally see him as Dan.
Put him and what's her name from Hereditary that I can't think of the name of.
Oh, Toni Collette.
Yes, those two would be my choice for next to normal.
Or just have Alice Ripley do it again.
I don't want Alice Ripley to destroy her voice any more than she needs to.
She really bless her heart. She was like a fun, she kind of she was so crazy around Next Normal, but that was kind of before meme culture was what it is right now. I feel like if she was like still kind of relevant now, she'd be memed all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Peppermint twist, that old stuff that she did. I know Reva's mad at me now. So.
What? Is that another one of Jeff's best friends? Because Jeff knows everyone.
His cousin is the music director of Hadestown. That's how we saw it. He plays the piano in the show. So we saw the Gypsy Run. We saw the final dress.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
And Jeff was like BFFs with Aaron Tveit before he was Aaron Tveit.
They were in Rent together. They were in Rent.
Okay, so my mother is watching this stream and she just texted me Hamilton incorrectly spelled to tell us to get back to Hamilton.
Well, I don't know. Do we have anything else to say about Hamilton? I think we've covered everything.
I know we've been doing this for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me look at the song list to see if there's anything else that jumps out at me. Nope.
This show's been talked to death for 4 years, and we're just now like a bunch of people are jumping onto this train
over the course of the past weekend because everybody's watching it now because we have nothing else to do.
Did you watch it with anyone who hadn't seen it before?
I hadn't. I'm pretty much the only musical nerd in my family right now, so I got to get the kids in on some of this shit. But it was basically, I went into the bedroom for 3 hours and had some private
time and crying time.
Yeah, had some private crying time.
Yeah, I watched it with my housemates, and Jeff and I had seen it before, but none of the rest of them had seen it. And that was really cool watching it with them. One of my housemates, I kept trying to push it on her for a long time. Like, you really have to get into this. And she was like, I like Dear Evan Hansen. And I was like, okay, but like, you're going to like this more, I promise. And then she just kept like kind of leaning closer and closer as it all happened. And Satisfied happened and she was sold. And so that was really cool. And now she's totally obsessed. So that's a lot of fun. She's asking me all these questions about it. I'm like, oh, I could talk about Hamilton with you.
Yeah.
Like,
you got the books there. You can.
Yes, you can pull out the book.
I know. I keep going, do you want the tome? Do you want the Hamilton? What about you, Jess? Did you watch with anyone who hadn't seen it?
Yes, both times I watched it because I watched it twice over the weekend. Both times. First time was with my parents and they liked it. They were like, okay, I get the hype now. There were times where it's like, wait, so he's playing Jefferson now? Wasn't he just someone else?
Like the magic of theater.
And just like, is the war over? Did it start? Where are we?
They literally say the dates too. It's so much of the show.
Well, sometimes it's hard to tell. Like, what? I know when the war started. I don't really know when it ended.
Yeah.
Right. Who else did you watch it with?
The second time I watched it with my girlfriend and her family, and her sister hadn't watched it before, hadn't seen it live before, so she was watching and like enjoyed it. She's just like, oh, now I get what the hype is about. This was not at all what I expected it to be, was her response, which is most people's response who aren't musical people. I don't know what people expect Hamilton to be before they dive into it.
I think people don't expect it to be as they hear like rap, rapidy rap, and they don't realize how much of it is so musical theater, how much the basic core of musical theater is in that show. The recurring themes for characters, the Act 1 finale is textbook musical theater.
They went full One Day More with it.
One Day More.
They did.
He does that in the Heights too. Like he's really good at that. I love a good Act 1 finale. So like,
he's really good at those, multiplayer, counterpoint numbers.
Yeah, and so having those structures, there's the I Want song, there's like the breakup song, there's an 11 o'clock number. There's all these really important musical theater cornerstones throughout the show. And but the score is like a complete rap, pop, hip hop. But then, like, Burn is a pretty standard musical theater song. There are a few others like that, too.
You'll Be Back is like textbook King Herod song, kind of.
Yeah. So I think people just expect it maybe to be like a concert or just like a show with rapping in it. And they don't expect it to be the full experience you get from watching a musical, which is, letting the emotions be as big as they are and the choreography being as stylized as it is. So that's what I think. And Jeff's right. I love that the show doesn't really have set pieces. I love that in theater. And they bring out little chairs and they bring out some kind of things, but they're just all on this one nebulous set. And it makes it so that it can be whatever world you want it to be. And it's up to the actors and the staging and the book and the score to stand on their own. And if the show can't stand on its own like that, then you probably don't have a good show. But Hamilton is a good show.
Can I bring up like Hamilton's influence on like greater musical theater? Because LinManuel Miranda has brought up that Jesus Christ Superstar and the Judas relationship and all that was a big influence on Aaron Burr and all that. And then I recently saw the most recent production of Jesus Christ Superstar where they rip off basically every piece of staging and direction and just overall design of Hamilton, and it is the best version of Jesus Christ Superstar I've seen so far because they go minimalist and go full Hamilton.
Yeah.
See?
It's a circle, guys.
Yeah.
Strange loop.
Go listen to a strange loop, guys.
Go listen to a strange loop. Go see Hamilton. Go see Hamilton if you haven't yet.
Yeah, I mean, you could just see it on Disney Plus right now. Just watch it. Watch it with your fam. Watch it a million times and become obsessed. I'm really excited to watch it again or to have the experience of watching it again with the words in front of me. This time I just let it wash over, but I kind of want to compare.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun. Yes. You guys, is there anything else? Any other
last minute things?
Yeah, I mean,
it's getting late for me. I'm an old man.
I gotta get out of here because my husband needs to build a new desk in here. So,
would you build that desk already?
Well, it's his desk, not mine, so I'm not. So,
is that why there's a free flowing chair behind you?
What? Yes, that's why there's this random chair behind me in the empty space. Normally that's his work area.
Shoot. Well, it was really fun to talk about Hamilton with you guys.
I love you guys so much. I love you all so much.
You're my music theater fam, and this was great.
Yay. Yes, thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Wear your masks outside, people.
Yes.
Please.
Be safe.
Be safe. Don't be stupid. We love you.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.